Hoorah! Hey guys, Nika here with your daily neuro nugget. Happy Thursday. We have important theories to cover before I get started. I wanted to remind you guys these are my theories. These videos are for entertainment purposes only. And remember to remain friendly. Well, you don't have to be friendly as long as you're respectful. We don't have to be friends, okay? Chill the fuck out, bitch. Hey, Holly Berry. Welcome, guys. I am very caffeinated, as you can probably tell. Hey, MS8144. Hello, Nadine, my dearest Nadine. Welcome. Hello, Lush. Hey, Boo. Hey, Kim being skeptical. I like that. That's a cool name. I like how you did the B dash ing. Pretty cool. Hey, friend. Hey, Carolyn. C8H. Hey, Jojo. Hey, Holly. Welcome, guys. So we need to be unbelievably worried, in my opinion, right? Hello, Shani. I feel like you guys constantly correct me on how to pronounce your names. Please be nice. uh English is not my first language, so sometimes my brain has little brain farts, translating, misfiring. You know what I mean, right? um More and more and more continues to come out that is shaking the foundation of this atrocious case. And it's just getting to be more and more of a shit show, right? We need to do something. We need to do something. And it's looking like we, the people here on our channel here, our little family here. Hello, Creaker Mama 80. And the entire true crime community, we have been scrutinizing this case. Welcome, Blake. Welcome. Scrutinizing this case in an unrelenting fashion for 3+ years now, babes. 3+ years. And what are we doing this for? We are shedding light on what seems to be the height of corruption, right? That's what it's looking like, the height of corruption. And not only is this corruption taking place in little old Moscow, no, it's across several agencies. We have what appears to be corrupt judges, corrupt lawyers, corrupt prosecutors, corrupt FBI, corrupt ISP, corrupt genetic um what companies, right? Hello, Brew 89. Hello, GMW 405. Okay, we have this corruption across multiple agencies, multiple individuals. And guess what what do you guys think that does? Hello, Springwater Pixie. What do you think that does? Well, as part of the true crime community, we are being a thorn on the side of the people that are responsible for this corruption, this atrocity, the IDAHO4, and the continuous cover up, right? Hello, Wild Angel. Hello, GMW 405. And what would be the best way to get the heat off once and for all? What would be the best way? If you are tired of the true crime community consistently shedding light on your corruption, how would you go on about removing that little annoying true crime thorn on your side? Guess. Take a wild guess, okay? Take a wild guess. Well, theoretically speaking, if you remove the cause in quotation marks, from the get-go, aka if you remove Bryan Kohberger, aka if you delete Bryan Kohberger, aka if you are pushing already this narrative that Bryan Kohberger is threatening to self-harm, is threatening to delete himself. Uh, we see what you're doing, News Nation. We see what you're doing, Court TV. We see what you're doing, Beanfield. Ashley Beanfield. We see what you are doing, Nancy Disgrace. Of course, these massive news channels are not going to do the right thing. Do you guys actually believe that these massive news channels, there are several more, but I just mentioned the first ones that came to the top of my head. Do you think they're actually going to play this new audio that we have gone over time and time again that shows us the timeline is not what they told us, that shows us the timeline is different, that shows us that it's extremely probable that Bryan Kohberger has nothing to do with this case? Isn't that concerning? That we already have so many channels, news channels, talking about Bryan Kohberger potentially unaliving himself. Isn't that concerning? Because for me, it's coming across like Bryan's legal team is kind of letting him hang for this, unless, of course, they're actually trying to just wait until us little crime folks wait and do all the work and push the truth out, right? But it kind of seems a little bit like they're letting him hang for this. Personally, you guys already know that several of us in here, myself included, believe that Bryan Kohberger is not the real killer. And if so, then what about everything else in this case, right? Now, I wanted to pull up an article that I saw here by Court TV, just came out here in December, titled Investigator Bryan Kohberger Threatens Self-Harm in Bid to Move Cells. And this is what it says. Boise, Idaho, Court TV, convicted killer Bryan Kohberger is so unhappy with his current situation in jail that he's threatening self-harm in an attempt to be moved, according to an investigator. Really? Really? Yeah, I think you're just trying to get him deleted. It's kind of what it sounds like. Kohberger was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms plus 10 years after pleading guilty to the murders of 4 university students. Kohberger previously submitted handwritten complaints to the Idaho Department of Corrections, claiming that he was being threatened and sexually harassed by other inmates. Now, in a statement to Court TV investigator Chris McDonough, I have my own thoughts on Chris McDonough, said that Kohberger is resorting to new tactics to be moved to a different location. By the way, if y'all ever end up in jail, know it is your right to complain. Doesn't matter what you did or if you did not do it. It is your legal right to complain to be moved elsewhere if you are being harassed, if you are being threatened. That is your right. So, yeah, use your rights. Why not, right? Hello, Joanne. Hey, Suds. They want him to expire. I'm glad that you got the notification, AskMan1259. About time, because they haven't been pushing these, right? Wild Angel 7277, welcome. I'm concerned that with the truth coming out and them realizing that everybody knows that they may try to delete him just so that they don't have to take accountability. Nadine, I'm with you, girl. Exactly, Wild. They did the same with Kopaka. I agree with Brent Kopaka, right? Now, Kohberger has turned that into a foundation to use vague threats about harming himself in an attempt to get out of the situation in the J block. Wow. He wants out of that J block real bad because other inmates are taunting him. Again, it's your right. But again, I'm with you, Kim, right? It would be very convenient if he magically happened to delete himself. He deleted himself. He is not liked at all by the inmates, and this was a surprise to him as he entered the DOC, McDonough said. I'm sorry. There is nothing forthcoming in terms of transparency. This sounds like, again, the same that they did 3 years ago. And by the way, just a random quick question. since we now have this footage, this audio showing that the timeline of the crime that law enforcement has pushed for over 3 years now is not accurate. Where are the families? Where are the families? Where are them asking questions? Because if I recall correctly, the Gonsalves family, yes, of course, unfortunately, they lost a daughter here. They lost Kaylee, and they claim to have lost 2 daughters as they saw Maddie Mogen as a family member, as a daughter as well. But where are they now? They have this footage not that long ago. They were reposting grub truck footage on their Facebook, Gonsalves family page. So where are the families now? What are their thoughts on the timeline? What are their thoughts on this new audio? Do they have questions? Because I'm sorry, people have loved to say, Bryan Kohberger should be screaming from the rooftops. He should be screaming from the rooftops. He's innocent. He's innocent. If he's innocent, he should be screaming. Well, the family members of the victims are not incarcerated, now have the exact same access to the information is now out here in the world for all of us to see. So where are the family members, and why are they not screaming from the rooftops? Why are they not asking questions regarding this fucked up timeline that we now know is effed up due to the audio that we have all heard? Do you guys think that they are being silenced? Is that what you think? Because it is very strange that they're not saying anything, right? I don't think anyone actually does care about the opinions of Chris McDonough, right? I agree with Supergirl. I agree with Holly Berry. He needs to be out of there. It's unsafe, I believe, for him to be there. It's unsafe for him to be there. I sure hope that nothing bad happens to him. I also hope he gets a new trial. He should. On the fact alone that he could claim ineffective counsel, right? And of course, most of us here hope that nothing bad would happen to Bryan Kohberger because we are not sociopathic, right? We're not sociopaths here. We don't want bad things to happen to anyone. But unfortunately, I think it is a logical conclusion given what has happened so far. And let's be honest with each other. We have more evidence of a law enforcement cover. We have more evidence of a prosecution cover-up than we have of actually Bryan Kohberger doing this or being involved in this whatsoever. Right? Mandy Johnson says, would they push this narrative to possibly use this as an excuse to possibly get KB out of prison and put into hiding for pleading guilty to help cover up the crimes? If that makes sense. I have no idea, but I wanted to talk about this because we have heard the family members say 2 a.m. is the dark hour. And I'm shocked because since the gag order was lifted, what have we had access to? We've all seen the lies. This new audio that I have gone over in previous lives is gut-wrenching. And if you want to go listen to that audio, I suggest you guys go check out Jules, right? I think Jules was the original person who actually has been putting in a lot of the FOIA requests and doing that work. Not all of us can be crime sleuths 100% of the time, but I'm so thankful that she reached out, got this audio, and it's gut-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching. And what comes to mind is Steve Gonsalves saying there was one hell of a battle. I can clearly hear this to be true in the audio, right? Yeah, Jules is legend. In the future, when I don't have to work so much, I'm definitely going to go watch her stuff because she, like myself, hasn't really changed her opinion too much on this case, which is, in my opinion, always a good sign. We've kind of always known that Bryan Kohberger was being railroaded for whatever reason. We're still not sure, but I like people that stick to that. There are other people that you guys have told me to go watch, and they're kind of all over the place. They're like, first they thought it was Bryan, then they're like, it wasn't. Now they think it's Bryan. They're very back and forth on everything. Uh, I like Jules personally. She's most definitely legend, Adam, right? Nadine says, yes, that horrifying screams was after 2, not 4. Exactly. GMW says you have not been getting notifications for months. Yeah, go reset everything. Check your settings because you're not the first person that has told me that. Jules called MPD and blasted them for her not yet receiving her $1,000 FOIA. And that is complete bullshit, right? The fact that these fucking cops in Moscow are charging for this should be illegal. Talk about grifting. Talk about grifting. Remember, we the people should legally have access to all of this information for free. For free. And no one else is charging, but Moscow Police Department, you don't get to see any of our information unless you pay up. Unless you pay up. So I'm always very grateful when people have donated to Jules because again, if they're actually charging her, and which it sounds like they are, you know, they need money to fund that new station. Yeah, they need more donuts, right? They need more donuts. Is that what they need? This case makes me sick for so many reasons. And then on top of that, we have him serving time for a crime he did not commit. Okay, this is a narrative that they are starting, that he's going to self-delete. And yes, Supergirl, they work for us. So why the are we paying them for information that we are entitled to have for free? For free. This case has been built on a lie. To this day, we still have ignorant experts regurgitating the same mainstream media narrative over and over and over again. What do? Oh, let's completely ignore the newly released evidence. Let's completely ignore that. Let's go back to the same BS narrative that we pushed 3 years ago. Let's not open our effing eyeballs to the truth, to these new documents, to these new audios that are showing us that the narrative is bullshit, right? And I'm going to tell you guys right now what I think, especially because a lot of you already know that I was in the military, most definitely active duty military. I'm going to tell you, you heard it from an ex-Navy girl here. I think that if Bryan Kohberger self-deletes, it will be a psyop. It will be a psyop. An Epstein, if you will. Okay? And if that is the case, then that means that Bryan Kohberger was very likely an asset to someone or an entity. And I'm referring to an entity, meaning a law enforcement agency, probably a triple letter law enforcement agency. We may never learn how deep, how dark it gets, but obviously, Mr. Bryan Christopher Kohberger is a major threat in the eyes of the prosecution. Yes, Epstein, but he's innocent. Exactly. And maybe those who are currently in power cannot afford to have Bryan Kohberger have a voice, right? That is very concerning. To this day, we have no evidence even remotely suggesting that Bryan Kohberger was involved. So again, it's important to pay attention to what these major news outlets are pushing. Typically, when they are pushing a narrative, it is for a reason. And it's important we continue to talk about this case because we're watching. We are watching. We are shedding light on this corruption, and we're keeping our eyes open because if he gets hurt, if something happens to Bryan Kohberger, a lot of us are going to throw hands. I'll just leave it at that. I will just leave it at that. Throw legal hands. I'll just leave it at that. Come on, we've heard the footage. We have heard the screams. How could anyone not have heard them screaming? No, not Dylan. No, not Bethany, right? No, no one heard anything. No one saw anything. Then we have all these images of Bryan Kohberger supposedly showing his biceps when he's in his apartment bathroom. That picture looks extremely photoshopped to me. Pay close attention to all the pictures that are being released of Bryan Kohberger right before the crime. It looks photoshopped. Notice the entry door. It's like tilted and shifted and wavy and curvy. I've never seen a door so curvy. Never seen a door so curvy. These pictures are 100% photoshopped, okay? This case should have been thrown a long ass time ago. And as far as I'm concerned, I think Scooby-Doo and Inspector Gadget could have done a better job investigating all of this. So, yeah. Don't get me started, guys, on Chris McDonough. He pisses me off. He just triggers me. He triggers me so bad. He's just a piece of work, an awful Masonic, right? Wasn't he in a Mason Brotherhood? Right? Yeah, did y'all know that about Chris McDonough? Allegedly, I'll say allegedly. He irritates me. He irritates me. Sir, keep your thoughts to yourself. Chris McDonough, thank you. Thank you. They want BK silence because the guilty don't sleep, right? The guilty don't sleep, right? Carolyn says, honestly, they think people are ignorant. Right. That's why they think they can get away with this, but we're paying attention. And now they have realized that we are paying attention, and we, the true crime community, have become a thorn on their side. And again, how do you get rid of a thorn in your side? Oh, if you delete or get Bryan to delete himself, then you have no more issues. Problem solved, right? Okay, they gave us a messed up timeline. They gave us a video with missing footage, skewed timestamps. We have red flags everywhere. I don't know. I think a lot of people have a lot that they know about regarding this case, but it's concerning. Rosie, did you not get notifications from me? Yeah, they're definitely suppressing my channel, by the way, if you guys haven't noticed. And it's funny because I always get somebody in here like, well, I watch other people that talk about other things that are even more crazy than what you talk about, and they're not getting suppressed. Well, I have a history. I have a track record with the tube, right? Multiple channels in the last decade deleted for talking about vaccines, for talking about other things. Okay. When you have a track record, I've been on here for over 10 years. So yeah. Maybe that's why some of you guys are not getting notifications from me. It's probably not your settings, right? You said, Rosie, your notifications are on. But when I have pissed them off for over a decade and they continue to delete my channel and I'm just like, fuck you, I'll start a new one. Yeah, that kind of pisses them off. And every time I talk about things they don't want me to. So yeah, that pisses them off, right? But this case just stinks to high heaven, guys. It stinks. Now, some people have mentioned that maybe, just maybe, he will pretend to self-delete. Maybe, just maybe, he will be told that he was gone and then they will break him out of jail. And that maybe, just maybe, he'll get paid a lot of money. And that maybe, just maybe, that'll be the end of the psychological experiment. Maybe. Sure, that would be a great silver lining with a happy ending. But something tells me that this is not the case. Something tells me that Bryan Kohberger was bullied into this. And bullies don't typically, end stories happily. There's no silver lining typically. People that were bullied into something, right? Hello, Claire. Welcome. I'm glad you finally made it live. So here we are calling them out. This is alarming. This should be worrying. I do not believe that Bryan Kohberger is truly threatening self-harm. I think Chris McDonough is an absolute con artist. And we have the new audio, which is incredibly important. And the fact that the family members are not talking about it, I find very concerning, right? It's coming across like they've been wanting to unalive him, and they've been pushing a narrative of how that could happen since the plea deal sentencing and since the victim statements. So yes, I wouldn't put another Epstein past them. Of course not. And yes, I'm with you, Rosie. Of course that he's going to be having a hard time in prison. I mean, on top of it being, you know, him being taunted and potentially everything else that you have to experience in prison. But we do know that he also has several diagnoses, right? He is autistic on the spectrum. He's OCD. He's a germaphobe. He's got all these things. He's got coordination disorder. Of course, that's going to also take a toll. But that alone doesn't make you want to unalive yourself. I think this is something that they're pushing. I think that they want another Epstein. They want to Epstein him, right? And who had pushed this narrative, guys, from the get-go? Do you guys remember? It was not Nancy Disgrace. It was not Ashley Beanfield. It was Steve Gonsalves who had pushed that out to MSM. He pushed that out in the early days. Okay? But you're not fooling me. You're not fooling me. I remember the family mentioning something about Steve specifically, mentioning something about him, you know, he was going to have a difficult time, and, you know, pushing this a narrative of how unaliving would happen to Bryan Kohberger in prison. That's disgusting, in my opinion, sociopathic behavior. And part of me understands, yes, you lost a family member. Yes, you want to take revenge. But still, sorry, still, you don't say things like that, right? Hello, Indigo Faye. Welcome. Hello, Adam. Are they doing that? Is that what they're doing? Are they starting to lay the groundwork for the narrative? I mean, hey, it already worked once. It already worked once. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And several of you have reached out to me on my Instagram, and you have told me that you send him money every so often. There's somebody who reached out to me and was like, yeah, I send him money every couple of weeks. I send Bryan Kohberger money every couple of weeks because I know what it's like, and I'm a felon, and I 100% know he didn't do it. What will come out eventually will be the real story. I'm like, even felons, bro, even felons are saying there's no fucking way. There's no way. Hello, Doug Fresh. Is it Doug or Dougie? Oh, someone getting a new hip? Blessings. Blessings. You're gonna run at lightning speeds, babe. Good luck. I hope you enjoy your new hip. The guilters are already broadcasting that basically Bryan is going to pass away. This is concerning. When we have this many people saying, yeah, he's most definitely going to pass away, either someone's going to delete him or he's going to self-delete. At this point, this is a time that the Department of Justice should be intervening. Dougie. Dougie. I like it. And do you guys expect Court TV to bring this up, this new audio up? Of course not. Do you think Nancy Disgrace and Ashley Beanfield and Chris McDonough are going to talk about this? Of course not. No, they're still going to be bringing their ridiculous BS news about Bryan's prison life with Chris McDonough. With Chris McDonough. Okay, that's all they want to talk about. They don't want to talk about anything new. You're supposed to shift your opinion as new evidence comes out. They don't do that over there, right? The mainstream will never do that. The mainstream will always be biased. The mainstream will never report the truth, even when everyone hears it, even when everyone sees it. And then they're like, oh my God, Bryan Kohberger was complaining because he wanted yellow bananas. Oh my gosh, he's so fussy. I'm like, well, were you giving him moldy ass bananas? I mean, we know he's already vegan, right? Like he already has enough of a difficult time, even in the real world. Just, you know, imagine now you're in prison. Like you just want some bananas that aren't freaking rotting. You're allowed, again, this is your constitutional right to request this, right? It's insanity. We need to know the truth why they targeted Bryan Kohberger so quickly. It's all lies when it's concerning this case. And every time people have asked Chris about, sir, Chris McDonut, sir, where are your receipts? Who is your source? That any of what you were putting out there is true. He never really shares his source. He never really shares his receipts, right? Okay, the moment that they claim that the surviving roommates waited 8 hours to call 911, the timeline from the get-go made zero sense. Now here we are, 3 years later, finally hearing this audio that contradicts everything, contradicts the original story, exactly what we questioned from day one. The audio places a screaming and distress around from 2 to 3:30 or so. How does that even match up with the state's 4 a.m. narrative? It's just stupid. Okay. At this point, it isn't just questionable. This is fundamentally flawed narrative. Okay. We have a case here that was built on a timeline that does not align with the evidence. And based on that alone, everything needs to be reevaluated from the get-go. Every time new information emerges, guess what? It undermines the official version that they ran this shit down our throat for 3 years. Okay? And every day new information comes out and continues to undermine that version. So we have to ask, how much did they overlook? How much did they misinterpret? How much did they minimize? How much did they just say, fuck it, right? So thank you guys for joining me on today, Hump Day. Welcome, Hump Day, Hump Day. And let me know your thoughts on this. Are we a legit true crime community here where we're going to actually be keeping tabs on Bryan Kohberger? Make sure that he's safe. Make sure that he doesn't self-delete. Make sure that he doesn't get Epstein. Well, that's my goal. I don't know. A lot of you maybe feel the same way. Let me know your thoughts. But you bet your bottom bippy that I am most definitely going to be keeping tabs on this. I swear, if they touch one hair on Bryan Kohberger, we're gonna throw legal hands, bitches. I promise. I promise. So thank you guys for joining me in today's live. Make sure you leave a like if you would care to hype the video. It promotes the channel. And yeah. See you guys soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Blake. Bye, Dougie. Bye, Kathy. Bye, Super Girl. You like green on me? Nika, that green. Ooh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Rosie. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.